What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Caleb Davis.
And my name is Brett Sherwood, and we have some notes today. But first, it's Thursday night football tonight. The Lions are playing the Green Bay Packers. You know what I'm saying? Caleb, do you have any initial thoughts on that, or what do you think is going
Uh,
to happen tonight?
Not really. I'm expecting a Lions dub. Not knocking on wood here, but yeah, I got some plans for that after this recording. We're going over my friend Herschel's place. It's been a tradition all season. We all get over there. We watch the games together. So good time and looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what's up. No, that sounds like a good time. The only thing for me is want to touch on like really quick. The Lions defense has been pretty banged up, especially the D line, as most of you probably already are aware. But uh, our left tackle Taylor Decker has also been ruled out for the game, so Dan Skipper most likely will replace him. And then Levi is out on the D line, and so is Pascal and DJ Reader. So that's three guys. Normally well, I mean, Levi's more of a rotation guy, but like two guys that normally would start in the D line that aren't going to be playing tonight, and Carlson Davis and Manuel Mosley are still a scratch. So again, defense is banged up, and honestly, it's hard when you got to go out there and you got to play 3 games in the span of 11 days. So hopefully we can kind of
It's a
get
trap
through
game.
this game. Yeah, exactly. It is a trap game for real because um, it's a divisional opponent, and anybody can take it. And the Packers are playing pretty good this year. They're playing ball as well as anybody. Hopefully, we can force some turnovers for Jordan Love because he's been a little turnover prone this season. But yeah, it's gonna be a close game. I think no matter what.
Yeah. I'm still a bit under the weather, if you guys can't tell. But we're here again, and we're gonna make things work. We have 4 topics in store for you guys today. We're gonna start with the Bucks and talking about them picking up steam. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're back into playoff contention very quickly. A couple weeks ago, they were at the bottom of the East, so very quick turnaround for them. Then we're gonna touch on Brett's Magic and Franz Wagner and kind of how he's helped carry them in Paulo's absence. Then we're going to touch on the Mavs winning games and not just on the offensive end, but they've also been doing it defensively. So it'll be interesting to touch a little bit on that. And then we're going to close the show out with the Warriors and their 5-game losing streak that they're currently been on and kind of what's been going on with that and how do we see that kind of changing in the future. But to start us off, the Bucks picking up steam. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games and they're currently sitting at 5th in the East. And it's just been a revelation for them because, like we mentioned earlier, they started off the season so poorly. I want to start with talking about Giannis and Dame because obviously that's the 2 best players on the team. Everything starts and finishes with them. They have been the highest scoring duo this season, currently at 58.5 points per game. And between the two of them over their last 10 games, especially Giannis, he's been having an MVP level season. He's averaging a career high in points at 33.5, 10.6 rebounds, and 7.9 assists, so basically 8. And then Dame in the last 10 games has been around 24 points and 8 assists. So I just think the two of them have gotten better at playing off of one another, and that just comes with the familiarity and the consistency as this is their second season together. But Dame has also improved a bit defensively. And now the numbers don't exactly show it, but I've watched a couple of their games, especially that slaughter fest against the Pistons a couple of days ago. And he just has been trying harder. Like he tries harder to get over screens. He's being more attentive off ball and just doing little things like more so. Because in the past, he just die on every screen. He just give up on plays, and it's exciting to see. And then on Brook Lopez, he's also been assisting them. He's shooting 45.6% from 3 and averaging 2.7 blocks. So it's just a great complementary piece with Giannis, great at stretching the floor, great at protecting the rim. And he allows Giannis to kind of roam and play free safety for their defense. But Brett, I'm going to kind of open it up to you. What have you noticed in this win streak and kind of how have you felt about their play as of late?
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think honestly, it's been an effort thing, and I think you'll see that consistently among some teams that are struggling and some teams that aren't. Right? Like I feel like on the contrarian end, you got the Lakers, and I feel like a lot of their struggles are due right now because of a lack of effort. So I think that's really it has to do with coaching, but also has to do with player buy-in. I think the Bucks have finally realized that if they sink now, that they're going to be out of playoff contention, so that they have to really start playing as hard as they can if they want to make a run. And obviously, you don't want to waste the rest of what you have of Damian Lillard's prime. And like you said, he's trying harder probably because he knows that this is his last chance, really, in my opinion. Like this last stretch of his career is his last chance at a ring. So he's going to want to go out there and play with 110% every time he's on the court. And I think I really can respect that, admire that about them. And I think that Doc Rivers is also probably isn't as bad of a coach as everybody says he is. But oh yeah, bro, he's be holding on to that ring, that one ring that he won. Like, I mean, like,
40
yeah, to
years
an
ago.
extent. To an extent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hear people when I say that for sure, but at the end of the day, bro does have like 20 years of experience in the league. I think he knows what he's talking about, at least to a degree, if people and if front offices keep wanting to hire him. So hopefully he's, you know, instilled some confidence into into his leaders and Giannis and Dame over there, and they could even get a resurgence once Chris Middleton hopefully gets back into the lineup soon.
Well said. Well said. I'm gonna kind of break it down a little bit on both ends, how they've been changing and kind of what's been different for the Bucks. So on the defensive end, they've been about the same as far as defensive rating. And defensive rating is essentially how many points are allowed per 100 possessions. So for the season, they're sitting at 113.2 points per possession. Well, not per possession, per game. So that's how they're allowing about 113.2 points. And then over the last 10 games, they've been at about 113.5. So they've actually gotten, according to the numbers, the eye test, they've definitely improved. But according to the numbers, they've gotten a little worse on the defensive end. But I don't really. I think their defense has improved, and I think this has come from them playing their young guys a little more, like guys like AJ Green, Andre Jackson. Yes, they aren't rookies, but they're definitely the most youth that they have on the roster. And you need guys out there who are willing to, run and jump around and just be young and athletic and energetic. It helps to energize, especially when you have an older team. Like Dame is up there in age, Brook Lopez is up there in age, Giannis is getting there. Like
Yeah,
he's still in his prime, but they're not.
they can't all run the floor 40 minutes a night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not young spring chickens, as you said, like that. You need some of that energy and that boost. So I think that's helped a lot. And I also just think, like you said, it's been effort. Like guys are just trying harder. Like I think starting the season like that kind of woke them up, especially Giannis and Brook Lopez. They weren't playing that well defensively at the beginning of the year, and they've kind of turned it up to another level, back to that like championship level that we saw years ago. Especially Brook Lopez, 2.7 blocks per game, along with his
Yeah, that's
shooting has
nuts.
just been.
Especially at his age, isn't he like
Yeah,
37 or something like
yeah,
that? Like he's
he's
pretty
up
old.
there. The man's a dinosaur. But that's been on the defensive end. Some of my takes from that, and then on the offensive end, this is where that I feel like they've really seen their big jump. So as far as their offensive rating, over the season, they're at about 114.4, but over their last 10 games, they moved up to 119.6. So this is a major jump, 5 points per game added to that. And I think this has come from a couple of factors. I mentioned this earlier, but Giannis and Dame are just getting better at playing off of one another. And you kind of see that. Like Giannis is able to cut more when Dame's off ball. Like he's just learning how to utilize each other's gravity to make each other better. Because I felt like last season, Giannis didn't really make Dame better. Dame helped Giannis, get him easier looks, but wasn't the other way around. I feel like that's different this year. And then one other thing is Giannis's mid range. He has developed a mid range shot this year, which he has not had in years past. And he's kind of cut his 3 point volume down to like it's very, very minimal. This season, he's shooting 47.5% from mid range, which is well above the league average. And for example, for comparison, last season he was at about 35.1%. So 12% increase. That's pretty well and pretty significant. So I think that has been kind of the driving factor behind it on both sides. But I'm going to pose this question to you because, as some of you may know or may not know, Chris Middleton is returning Friday from his long overdue hiatus against the Celtics. And Brett, how do you think him coming back is going to influence the team? Do you think it'll help? Do you think it's going to be some growing pains? Like, what do you think about that?
I think initially when he's first inserted into the lineup, it would probably be some growing pains because, as you know, he's missed a lot of time due to his injuries. You know, he's pushing 33. In 2022, 2023, he only played 33 games, and last season he only played 55. So, you know what I'm saying? He's played basically barely over half last season and less than half the season before. But when he's healthy, he's very productive. You know what I'm saying? Great third option guy. He averaged 15 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds basically when he was playing last year. And
He was great in the playoffs, though, I
yeah,
will say.
exactly. Yeah, when Giannis was out, he averaged 24.7 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists in the series against the Pacers. So he was phenomenal in that series, and definitely capable of kind of alleviating some of the scoring pressure from Dame and Giannis. So yeah, I think all in all, it will be like a plus, but there may be some initial growing pains, kind of inserting him back into the lineup and sharing the ball amongst the three of them a little bit more because he does take a little bit more volume than like the other role players that are kind of inserted into his place right now.
I kind of on the same boat as you. I think it's a good time for him to come back though, while they're clicking on all cylinders and starting to find their groove. I don't think he's a hard piece to kind of insert because he's not a super ball dominant guy. Like he can, I think he'll help with their bench lineups too because you can have some type of lineup where you leave one of the three of them out there. But I think it'll take time because you're coming back from a major injury, and he's a little bit older. So, but I think now is a good time, a good point in their season for him to return. If I had to, cherry pick.
For sure.
Moving on, your Magic. I think you had them at 10 in your power rank or our season rankings at the beginning of the year. You've been a big Magic supporter. I was blinded by my love for Miami, which I will admit. But we said this at the top of the show, but they've been 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're currently sitting at third in the East. I'm gonna hand this one off to you, Brett, to start us off. What have you noticed about the Magic? How has Franz been leading the charge? And your prediction was right, so let's hear it, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think yeah, I'm excited to see that they my dark horse candidate is doing well. I think Jalen Suggs has been contributing very well in his playmaking and things of that nature, and they're sitting at third in the Eastern Conference right now. And like you said, Franz is playing well. I like his confidence, and I like the fact that he's kind of taking a high volume of shots in general. He has the past like 3 games. He's been 1 for 6, 1 for 5, 0 for 6 from three. But I really like the volume in general that he's playing with from the field, and he scored over 35 points last game. And yeah, just like kind of just coming into his own as a young up and coming star in the league. He's only 23, so I think he has a lot of room to grow and to continue to get better. Over the last 18 games in general, he's been averaging 25.3 points, 6.6 assists, 5.9 rebounds, and 2 steals. And yeah, I think like holistically, I think he's more than capable of leading the team forward. And like you said, like we said in the videos past, like uh, putting guys like KCP next to him has been allowed him to kind of play his game and space the floor. Um, and in a similar vein of how Paulo used to play when he was in. What I'm saying? He has that ability to kind of drive the lane and get an easier score because of the spacing that they're offering him now that he's kind of that they're the number one option. So and yeah, like he's like they're all just playing with tenacity and a grit to be better and playing with energy as a young team that they are trying to fight for their place in the Eastern Conference. And I'm excited to see what they continue to do going forward.
Yeah, I think your point about KCP, like bringing him in, guys like you see this on the Mavs when you have good shooters, even if they're not having a like KCP hasn't had a great shooting season, you still have to guard them like Klay Thompson on the Mavs. We'll touch on them later, but you still have to guard Klay like he's Klay, even if he's having a down
Hmm.
shooting year. You still have to guard Caldwell Pope like he's Caldwell Pope. So it's kind of opened the floor for the Magic on offense because that was a big thing for them last year. And I will say, I wasn't as big on Franz as a lot of people are. I didn't really know if this kind of leap. I didn't have him on the same kind of star level as Paulo. I still don't, but I didn't know this like kind of co-star potential was there in him. I wasn't sure. He has proven it, and he has played exceptionally well since Paulo's went down. I think the Magic have been really winning games though. It's been on the defensive end. Their lineup is just they're so big and versatile. Like the smallest guy that they play is typically like KCP or Gary Harris, and what they're both like 6'5", 6'4". That's
Yeah.
taller
So
than a
yeah,
lot of teams starting point guard. So I mean, like they're always going to beat you with size. they have so many young guys who will play, like Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr., like decent, even if they're not apex, top tier defenders. They're all trying, all giving effort. They're all playing as a unit. You got guys like you said, Jalen Suggs, a great defender. Anthony Black, solid defender, coming in off the bench, and they're just all contributing. And it's kind of, what more can you ask for? And I'm excited to see this team when Paulo officially returns, because if they're playing like this without him, who knows? Like, if he had he been here, maybe they're sitting at 1, 2 in the East. They're number 3 right now without him, and I just think he adds a whole nother element that I didn't know that this team was ready to take. And the Magic have been solid overall. I don't have a lot more to kind of say about them, but they've been doing well on both ends, and I'm looking forward to them once it comes to postseason time, because they were formidable last year. That series against the Cavs was very, very. It was like the only good series in the East, to be honest. Because all the contenders were either banged up or on one side of the bracket. But yeah, pretty good series, and looking forward to them moving forward. Now, moving on, the Mavs have been winning a ton of games. They're currently sitting at, I'm blanking on their record right now, but they've moved to the top of the Western Conference, which was not the case at the beginning of the season. A lot of people kind of pushed that panic button because they started off a little rocky. And this is something I'm trying to work on personally.
They're currently 14-8.
14-8, okay. And what are they, like fourth in the West?
They're third right now with Thunder's
Third,
first,
okay,
and
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, definitely surging. But like I was saying, one thing I've been trying to work on is learning when it's when it's an overreaction versus when you just kind of got to let the results play out. And I think I've gotten a little better at that. Like, I wasn't really worried about them because like their team is so well put together, and then they're just coming off a finals run. Like, I wasn't super concerned about them, but I think their bench additions, like Najee Marshall, they got guys like Quentin Grimes, have been solid. They've been playing better defense overall, but I just think they've been good on both sides of the ball. They went 5-1 in that stretch that Luka went down, and I don't think that has anything to do with Luka. I think it's just a solid team overall. I think they played a bit faster when he was out, but for their past 9 games, and this is including when Luka returned, they've been second in offense and eighth in defense. And on defense, they do a lot of switching. And I think this suits their personnel well. I think a lot of teams around the league, the Lakers, switch a lot when they don't have the personnel for it. So it's good to see that the Mavs are using they're using a scheme that kind of suits everyone's needs efficiently. Like, I think Derek Lively, especially as a big man, helps them a lot and helps them be more versatile when he's out there, because he can play and drop, he can hedge and recover, he can switch at times, and he can just do so many things. And he's like your modern day big, which like is exciting for them that they got him last year. And then on offense, I think he's great at decision making, like especially on the roll. Teams like to blitz Luka and Kyrie a lot. It's been a little harder with Clay out there because, like we just mentioned, like you still have to guard Clay. But when he gets it, like on that short roll, he's a great passer as a big man, so he's able to make quick reads and make things happen out of that. And I see him he's not starting right now, but I would be surprised if by the end of the season he's not their starting center. I'm not exactly because they look like a better team to me when he's out there. I'm not exactly sure why Daniel Gafford gets it. Like, they're not super far apart, but I think Derek Lively is a better fit with the starting group. But yeah, they've just been solid on both ends, and even though Clay hasn't been having he hasn't been having a Clay season. He's still been, like I said, you still have to guard him like he's Clay Thompson, so that's been his effect out there. But yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Let me hear your thoughts, Brett, on the Mavs so far.
Yeah, I think they've been playing really good over the past couple of games, and I think also I really like Quentin Grimes. He's not a name that I really knew much of before probably like this season, but he's been playing some pretty good basketball. Maybe not like the last 2 games, but before that, what I'm saying. He's been pretty solid for them coming off the bench. And like you said, has been playing with a lot of effort and tenacity, even with Luka being outside, speaks to like I said, good coaching, good schemes, and yeah, I would agree in the Derek Lively point. I think they look more energized when he's in. I think that he's a little bit quicker, just laterally in general than Daniel Gafford is. So I think that bodes well for the kind of offense and defense that they like to run with being able to be like you said, ready when they get blitz off of Kyrie and Luka and things like that. Um, and I think the other day, I think then they turned the ball over like 27 times, something like that, as a team, and they still won. So that was really impressive. I saw Kyrie say that after the post game. He's like, "Wow, I can't believe we turned over this many times. We still won." So like, basically what that sounds like to me is like usually you don't win a game when you turn the ball over that many times. So I think it sounds like they're doing like literally everything else right, which is great. So I'm excited to see them continue, hopefully, to keep some momentum going forward.
Now, to close out the show, the Warriors have lost 5 straight games. And I want to start this with a question. And I'll let you kind of kick this one off, Brett. But what have you kind of alluded to as the main cause behind a lot of their losing? Like what have you noticed with the Warriors?
Yeah, I think it just seems like they've been having an issue with closing games out. It seems like they don't have the clutch gene, at least in the regular season, that they we've known them for having in years past. For context, they've been dead last in league in clutch shooting with a horrendous 14.3% from the field, and then their plus minus in clutch situations compared to the rest of the NBA is 28th in the league. So um, they're getting like when it matters most, they're getting outscored, and they don't have the same impact that they wish that they could have for the rest of the game. They're in those moments, and it seems like maybe that's like a mental barrier that they have to overcome, because I think that they're capable of playing well, and they have played well, but sadly, when the pressure is on, it just seems like they haven't been able to really kind of understand, because I feel like they so what it is, I feel like Steve Kerr has had the luxury of having, you know, Kevin Durant and Clay Thompson and Curry kind of leading the charge and kind of being like already just like a built-in go-to guy in the clutch. You know what I'm saying? Curry's getting a little up there. Like, yeah, he's so capable of taking over the game when he needs to, but he also needs help. And I think with the younger guys coming on, it's more important to them that they understand um, what their role is in those moments and how they can basically help the team win. And I think that they don't really have that clear vision yet right now, and that's kind of what I've been seeing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he's not kidding about the close losses. Just some stats to throw out there. They just lost to the Nuggets by 4. Days before that, they lost to the Suns by 8. They lost to the Thunder by 4. So it's a pattern. Like they get their the game is close for the majority, and then like you said, they can't close games. And I completely agree with the sentiment that Curry can't do it all. And this season, they were winning earlier because Buddy Hield was basically serving as like a Klay Thompson role,
Yeah, he's
at the
playing out of
beginning
his
of the year.
mind.
Yeah, he was averaging like 20, shooting like 50% from 3, which was very, very, very high level play, which was not, if knowing Buddy Hield and his track record, it wasn't really expected that he was going to maintain that volume and just that overall volume. That's just never been him in his career. He's usually around a, 12 to 14, 15 point per game guy, and he's reverted back to the mean as of late. But in this losing streak, his stats have been down across the board. Like he's been worse in points, field goal percentage, his 3-point percentage, and it's still been high, but it's been down for him. And I also want to cut them a little bit of slack, especially like in the Nuggets game. Like you're missing Draymond, it's like your second best player, so obviously you're gonna feel the effects of that. Guys have been a little banged. Like I think Curry's been a little banged up. The one thing I've been kind of disappointed with in the Warriors this season is how they've utilized Jonathan Kuminga. I thought he showed, flashes of. I won't say he was going to be a star or anything, but he showed that he could be a higher level player, and especially with this, like I've commended them this season for running this big rotation, this 12-man rotation, and utilizing all their guys. But I also think it's kind of hurt his development because he's not playing as much. He doesn't have as much. His usage rate isn't as high, so he doesn't get those reps or the necessary reps and experience that guys around the league, counterparts kind of receive. So they've been winning, but it's kind of been at the cost of like his growth and development. And it kind of makes me think like I don't really understand how the Warriors. This is going off on like a tangent a little bit, but I don't really understand how the Warriors value him, because they didn't. I don't think they gave him. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think they gave him that big extension yet. And then but they're not willing to trade him. Like whenever he comes up in trade talks, they're like, no, not at all. But then he got benched. Like they're wishy washy with him, and I don't think it's fair to his growth and development moving forward with the team. So I just like to see them figure it out, like a clear direction for him. I I don't see them moving him, because he's a young asset, but I think it would be better for his growth long term if he, went to like a worse team where he could like imagine him on the Nets where he could just chuck up shots and develop as a player. But
Come to the
that's,
Pistons.
yeah, I mean, we can use him. We can use, but yeah, I think the Warriors will pick it up
Yeah,
as the season progresses. Like I don't see them like it's just crazy to me how much the West fluctuates because like a week ago the Warriors were first in the West. What now they're like
yeah.
ninth.
Isn't it crazy that like the Rockets are like second? Like they've been playing pretty good ball too.
Yeah, like all around the league. I wasn't expecting them to be this good. I didn't think they'd be able to like could shoot. They've I've had a
Yeah,
couple
Fred
predictions on them.
VanVleet literally just dropped like 38, bro. I was like, what? Like
I got
that
him
was
on my
crazy.
fantasy. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
same with Kaminga. That's why I'm so I certain particular players. I watch their teams a little bit more because I have some rooting interest behind it. But
Nice.
yeah, that's really all we have for today. I don't know. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on the Warriors front, or are you kind of all wrapped up, Brett?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is all we have for today. I'll kind of hand it off to Brett to kind of close things out, but thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you all so much for tuning into the peer review podcast today. I'm happy to be back because I know I missed last week, but it's good to be back. And thank you all for joining us.
So, with that being said, we'll kind of close things out. Please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at peer review podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases.
And again, we've been personally monitoring all of our accounts, and we'd love to continue to hear your feedback. Y'all have left us some really cool comments in our comment section so far, and we look at those, and it's been cool like seeing what y'all takes are. So please continue to do that, and let us know like if you agree, if you disagree, and if we're covering the stuff that you want to see. So yeah, continue to let us know, and thank you again. This is the peer review signing off.